You're listening to Professional Licensing Consultants Podcast for Part 4 of the National Boards.
I'm Dr. Dev with Professional Licensing Consultants. Over the last couple months, since we've introduced our new program, BareBones Rewards, we received a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails from individuals wanting to find out more about our new product. They want to find exactly how's the course set up, what is the content, what is the format, basically find out what's there and how much information is actually will they be able to find. So what I decided to do was do this brief video to give you a tour exactly what you find on the site and the different types of information you're going to find. Now, once you've registered for the website and you've been authenticated and approved to get onto the website, you will come to this first page, which is our home page or the landing page, which will be really important the very first time you get there. This is like doing the orientation essentially to the course. And you'll see we'll go through a number of things here. You'll see there's a video which will be similar to what you'll be seeing here, but it'll be a lot more in depth exactly how to navigate the site and more information about what's on the course. You'll also see certain things like our PDF, the site syllabus. Now, the site syllabus is a very important document. In fact, you're going to find that not only is it accessible on the very first page, but you'll see in the sidebar, the syllabus will always be accessible there as well. So any other page you'll navigate from now on, you'll be able to see this. And in fact, the reason for this is that we'll be updating the syllabus as we update this website on a regular basis. So if there's a new video added, if there's a new file, if there's a new quiz that's put on here, at least you'll know to go and update and download and print off this file. So what you'll see when you get to the syllabus, you'll be able to actually click on this and open it up and download and see what it will look like if this opens here. And you will see here that you'll have, for example, like here, and you'll see that anything that we plan to add that's not already currently accessible on the site, you'll see is going to be in orange. Then you won't see anything on this page, but there are things that be new. And then if there's anything that is that's going to be revised and updated, we'll put a little note or notation here. Now, what you'll see, for example, in section 1, you'll have one PDF, which is the site syllabus, that you're looking at right now. There's also going to be a video that will introduce, exactly give you the navigation. Now, there's no quiz, there's no tests on this, and you also notice that I've set it up to make sure that you set up objectives for yourself to get through the site. So let's say that your intentions would be is you want to complete this section by July 15th of 2014. You want to get that checked off, and that way you set somewhat of a standard or somewhat of a objective for yourself. Now, you notice under section 2, which deals with exam format and theory, you'll see that there are no PDFs because the majority of information will be found there either in text or in video content or in screencasts. And you see there actually are 3 screencasts you'll see, one on exam format, one on the layout of the tests, one on the percentages or the weighting of the test, which we call the decathlon analogy. And also you'll see that there's a podcast dealing with the players, which deals with, of course, who the examiners are and who the patients are, because that's an important thing to consider who you're dealing with while you're taking the exam. You'll also see that when you come to section 2.5, there is a test or a quiz that you can take to make sure you're up to date. You want to make sure you complete it by a certain time frame. And you'll see that it will go through and explain all the other sections of the website, and there'll be more that be added. This is actually the syllabus from the May exam, and we've already added a number of pages, number of information here in addition to what you'll see here as well. Now, you'll also see that when you get to the bottom of every page, or of every section actually, what you'll see here is that we usually will give you a recommendation which you want to go to next. You'll see like here you want to go to section 2, which is exam format and theory. And I strongly recommend that you complete all of section 2 before you do anything else. Now you can also navigate by the menu at the top, and you'll see that when you get to the first section, which is going to be National Board Part 4 format, you'll see that there are individual sections you'll have here. You'll see that we have like the premise of the site, which is a continuation of the introduction to the BareBones site, a bit of information about the test, the format of the test, the players, and you'll also see every section has a status check and assessment to make sure that you've grasped the major points and the major ideas and a way to basically test yourself against either a quiz or practice tests, and also strategy key points. So you'll see, for example, like on this under section 2.1, where you have the premise of the test, we have a pretty long, lengthy textual section that explains a lot about this whole purpose of the BareBones site. Now, there's not going to be any videos or no audios on this one section. It's probably the longest one you're going to have, but there's some really important points you want to know, and that's why you want to know this section 2 before you move on to the other sections here as well. And it explains a bit of information about all this, the rest of the site. But it's important to understand that, because if you don't understand exactly how we've designed this course, and a lot of thought has gone into this program, you got to remember that this has been in the works for the past probably 5 to 7 years, and it's just finally to the point where we're confident enough that we can produce the material and release it to students so they can study on their own. Now, you also notice, like on section 2.2, we have a section which talks about the format of the exam, and this is a brief video, and you'll see a lot of the videos be anywhere between maybe like 9 minutes long, like here, and some of the videos actually may be as long as an hour and a half, depending as we get deeper into the material and the content of the information as well. Now, you'll see, for example, the way it's set up, you'll see is that this is designed to play either directly on your screen, and like here, or you can also go and click it to go full screen, and you can also go there and put in high definition there as well in order to see that a little better and see exactly what's going to go on here. So, but you'll have a section which is essentially equivalent to an hour lecture that I would give in the live program as well. Now, in addition, and I want to stop this here so we don't get the background audio here, is you'll see that this tells you what to go on to the next section, which is section 2.3. And you'll see that we continue on, same thing here. In this part you can see that we have a different format explanation. And also you'll see here too a podcast dealing with the weighting of the test. And you see that's a 16-minute podcast here. And also onto the sections which deals with the individual people taking the exams, such as the players, who are the examiners, and also who the patients are as well. And so you see this is a relatively short section. I mean, this just basically explains the format of the test, but you'll see here 5 sections. And I think typically most people are able to get through this one whole section in about 2 hours here. So it's not that bad of a section here. Now, case manager course, there's going to be a lot of information. Remember that this is going to be about 50%, 49% of your overall score on the exam. You'll see there's a lot of individual sections that'll go very, very deep in terms of content. We have, for example, the overview as far as case management, a whole section on case history, physical exam. And remember, each one of these sections actually include about 5 individual subsections as well, as we talk about strategy and concepts and theory and the domain and all the information there. So we have orthopedics, neuro, range of motion, all things that are asked during the practical section of the exam, including a section on the post station as well. Now, you'll see, for example, that most of these sections will include a podcast or a video presentation there, and you'll see where it explains a bit of the details there. We explained about the pre-stations, and you'll see everything from the exact layout of the test, what kind of materials they're going to give you during the course. Like here, you can see even the labels they'll give you during the exam. We have an example set up here. And also samples of the actual questions you'll see in the door, the hallway, when you're outside taking the examination will be actually listed here as well. In addition, what you'll see here too is that, like I said, podcasts that will explain more in terms of even what the post stations are, and they're in their individual sections as well. Now, once you go into case history, you can see the same thing. We have, what do you expect about the case history? What does it mean to me? Which means, how do we plan our strategy once we understand the format? We have samples of the test. We have the domain. And you'll also see that we have certain sections which are like status check or assessments, which deal with basically quizzes or tests that you can take. And you'll see, for example, like here's a quiz that will actually test you on your understanding of the case history. Now, knowing the case history is not tough. Knowing how the case history applies to part 4 is critical, and that's why this is designed to go through here. And you'll see like there are, for example, like 20 questions here, and it gives you a chance to go through this several times, so you're not having to do this based upon your ability to progress through the section, not based upon whether you do these sections or whether or not you get a perfect score. But it is to your advantage to make sure you know this information is really well. And then what you'll also see at the end, we also have a strategy key point. Strategy key points, which deal with basically a summary of the do's that you want to do for individual section, like in this case on case history, and the don'ts, right, for case history as well. For physical exam, you'll see the same basic idea. What can you expect? How do they ask physical exam? What does this mean to me? Samples and domain, the status check, and you'll see another quiz as far as the physical exam. And then you'll also see here sample key points and strategies, basic ideas what you want to do on the exam when you are asked to do the physical exam. Now, you also understand they'll be explaining also what the point value is going to be and how much time you want to waste in this area as far as your study. And you'll also see here there are, for those that need it, basically the pictures of the exams they've done the exam, like here as far as Rennie's tests and Weber's and chest expansion, and also things like the psoas sign or whatever, all the various things, the physical exams they've asked in the exam. And typically, if it's an exam that's been asked, we will give a picture of this as well. Now, you'll also see here, too, the same thing for orthopedic and neurology exams. The same basic layout goes to, you'll see here, will be what can you expect? How do they ask the orthopedic tests? What does it mean to me? In other words, what's your strategy? The domain and samples, you're going to see actually information that deals with all the orthopedic tests that we know they've asked here. And you can download it as a PDF form. And also what you'll see here too is that all the orthopedic tests that have been asked in the exam will be set up here. Now, we're not here to explain how to do the orthopedic test, because my guess is that you folks already know how to do, Jackson's tests and Lassaig's and Braggart's, whatever. But the idea is you understand, okay, at least you want to make sure you know these orthopedic tests, because these are the ones that we know for a fact has been asked in the exam, and they really haven't even asked anything new on this as well. Now, you'll see a section also here dealing with, of course, same thing for neurology. There's a whole 5 separate section for range of motion and laboratory diagnosis and verbal components, which are special areas you're going to have. On to technique, you'll see the same thing. How do they ask technique? What does it mean to you, right, as far as your strategies? All the adjustments they've ever asked on technique that we know of can be viewed here on this website. Now, you can also download the handout that we provide for the live class, but see all the individual adjustments here. Now, again, you're not going to see any explanations because, again, we're not going to be teaching how to do these setups. But if you watch the videos and watch the podcast and watch the explanations, it will tell you exactly how to apply this. And this is just basically a reference that you can use to get a better understanding exactly what you're going to have to know. So this defines the domain of the test. Same thing for the x-ray. What you need to know is what's on the test. How does that affect your strategy, what your approach is going to be. The domain deals, of course, with an outline as far as percentages of the individual types of conditions to be asked in the exam. Now, a word of caution, you're not going to find 2,000 or 3,000 x-rays on the site because, again, there are issues as far as copyright issues, and I don't want people just sitting here looking at x-rays on the website. Now, there are a lot of links we'll give you where you can find things here, but you will see, of course, an outline of all the x-rays they have been asked. You'll see also an explanation of the way the questions are going to be asked, and that's where we have the correlated x-ray. A very important podcast, or very important screencast, audiocast, I should say, is radiographic signs, which is basically an audiocast that will be something you want to be able to download to your phone or your iPod that you can listen to at night. That we can learn this, because that's a very important site you want to know. And you'll see also audiocasts like regarding radiographic lines, mensurations, and things like x-ray imaging as well, which is something you can ask. And you'll see we typically include you also links to a site that explains MRIs and CTs really, really well. Now, what you're also going to see, there are x-ray site links here as well. But in addition, towards the end of the week or two before the exam, we'll actually upload to the website actual x-ray tests that you can actually take on your own and time yourself against the clock and try to take the test here on your own. Now, I'm not going to explain this now, but what you'll see here in addition, that this is all contingent upon your basic strategies, understanding exactly how they're going to ask x-rays in the exam, and more importantly, for example, like this deals with the layout of the tests, and also this deals with here too, also the best strategy, which is the culmination of years of speaking to thousands of students, exactly what's the best way to take the test, what's the best way to approach it, and how to break your answers down in individual ways here. Then finally, of course, when we get to here at the top, we can see here that you'll see that we also have a miscellaneous section, which are usually categories that really don't fit in any areas. For example, there's a whole section that deals with how they actually grade on the exam. There's actually 3 different podcasts about how they grade on the exam, and they're all different areas. First, how they grade you on individual section, also what they're looking for their criteria. And there's also a breakdown of the score analysis for those who've taken the test and failed it and have been trying to decipher exactly what the score breakdown of the analysis means. There's a whole section on this here. You'll also see that there's a section that deals with the qualifying question, which is a hugely important strategy that you want to incorporate for Part 4. And there is going to be, of course, a whole podcast here as well. And we will see that there's also a link to our Part 4 blog, which deals with a page or a blog that I've been doing over the years, which explains certain aspects of the exam that I've learned over the years that people don't know about the test here. And then in addition, there are links to either additional information. So if you need some textbooks, there's some recommendations here. There's a good technique website and also a bunch of x-ray websites here as well. So you can see here that that gives you an idea. There's a lot of material. And I will tell you that currently there's going to be approximately about 25 hours of just video alone. And there's probably several hours of audio recordings. And there'll be more things to be adding as well, x-ray practice tests, whatever. I would say that easily there's probably 30 to 40 hours worth of actual work. So that you'll actually have to do just to get through this content here. And that does not even include the amount of time that you actually have to study on your own as well.
This podcast has been brought to you by professional licensing consultants, chiropractic's premier exam specialists.